Good morning, my friends. Marty from Marty's Garden here. I've got a long-awaited video for you guys. People have been requesting this for some time off and on. Whenever I mention it, they're like, yeah, I want to see that. Yeah, that would be really awesome. Well, I'm going to share some tips and tricks to do with growing fruit trees. And this is to do with all types of trees. I've done this with my mulberries. I've done this with moringa. I've done this with lots of different types of trees that grow fast. And when I say grow fast, some fruit trees don't always grow fast, but when we have patience and we do this little method that I learnt from a biodynamics guy, an avocado farmer actually, believe it or not. We'll just go through the fence here and head out to the back garden where the fruit trees are, and I'll talk about connecting things up. And I'll talk about the methods of how this works so brilliantly, and how you need to have a little bit of patience right at the start to get superior growth and superior fruiting, because it does take a little bit of time. But once things are set in motion, then that's when you start saving time. And this is one of the beautiful things about this design that I'm working here on the garden. Now, we've been flooded again. So we've got our little mini flood in the yard here. Oh, I don't want to go out and check the water meter. We've obviously had over 100 mil in the last few days, because once we get to that 100 mil level, it starts to flood. But the chickens, they handle it, no problem. They're up in a high spot. They had a couple little puddles yesterday, and my gumboots have got holes in them. But the fruit trees actually do quite well from this, because we've got this little reservoir that runs down the side here and the water soaks in. And so we're going to start here. We're going to get to these. So I've got a dwarf lemon, and over here we've got our nice big, this is a great example, a lime tree. I'm pretty sure it's a Tahitian lime, and back a type of mandarin as well. And it's running next to this chicken pen here and other gardens, and there's reason behind that. As I said, connection is really important over time, connecting our soil profiles and connecting our mulches and understanding how the fungal systems and things work under the ground, because they travel like, let's put it this way, it's like a little computer network that travels through the ground and shares sugars and different things. And I've tested this over time, and it definitely works. And look at this, we've got the big choco here. He's trying to climb onto my fruit tree. Naughty thing. And we'll get rid of that. But look, we've got this nice big lime tree over here. I don't want to walk in the water too much. I don't want to get wet feet. But that at the moment is about 10 feet high, and it's been in the ground for about 1.5 years. Now, it would have been in a pot for probably 6 months to a year, probably sitting there waiting to go. So, and as you know, if you've been growing fruit trees for a while, the first year you need to pull fruit off. Well, I do something a little bit different. I allow my trees to go and establish into the ground, and once I've potted them into the ground, into some really good compost, and I've mulched them and fertilised them and things like that, what I do is, so you'll notice that most fruit trees and different trees have like different branches coming off, and they might have 3 or 4 branches. Well, what we do is we remove a lot of those branches and we just keep one. So one above the graft. So I'm going to share more stuff here, but there's a graft there. So they graft a branch from a mature tree onto an immature rootstock, and then the tree thinks that it's actually a mature tree, so it will start producing fruit, because the top branch that is from the graft actually is from a mature tree. So it believes that it's a tree and it will fruit up as soon as possible. But what we need to do is we need to remove that fruit so we can store energy in the tree and in the root system, right? Because it's photosynthesizing and sharing sugars down below. But what we do is we remove all the branches on a fruit tree, and then when a new sucker appears, so it's a new branch pops out the side, which happens in citrus, and we keep that one as a central leader. Now, People go, why would you do that? Why would you remove all the stuff? Well, if you're planting, say for example, if you plant right at the right time, which is generally when the soils are warmer, around autumn-ish, when the soils are warm, the sugars are storing down in the root system, getting ready for the winter, right? And then as soon as spring comes out, it'll throw a whole lot of new branches and little suckers come out, and you've got to remove all those little suckers above the graft and also below the graft, and keep one and allow that to be your new tree. That's the new central lead. Now why do we do that? Because when we do that, we're allowing the root system, while it's getting ready to establish new branches, to really grow big and settle into the ground, connect with all the fungal, connect with all the microbes, and get ready to go. And when it goes, it's only got one branch to grow and it's got a nice big root system, it just goes, it just absolutely thumps. Look at this, this is proof. I'll get around this side if I don't get too wet in here. I've got to go through the slush puddles. Oh, all right. Oh, yucca mucka. So yeah, there it is. Oh, that's better light. Look at that. That's beautiful. So we've got nice big hands of fruit there. Look at that. Look, look. That's all over this tree. Whoop, just drop one. I'll get that because I want to use that. Look at that. So when we just keep that one central leader and train that one central leader, we're reshaping a new tree. We're creating a new foundation for a tree to grow, and then it will turn into something like this. And it just looks like a normal tree, but it's got a nice big root system. And then what do we do after that? Once it's settled in, we're training the new central leader. We're pruning the tree to not have too many branches on the inside. We want it sort of growing out, and all those little branches inside just sort of spiral and make webs, and they don't really get light, so they don't really produce fruit. But really pruning a tree, that's sort of a whole other video in itself. What I'm talking about is getting the soil right and understanding the root system so it can pump for you. Now, below the tree here, we can get a good look if it's not too dark here. We can see I've produced a nice big mound. Now, a lot of people won't do this. They're saying it's going to create rot around the trunk, but the Australian, like I said, tree department that plant trees all around Australia discovered that they were losing a lot of trees, and when they buried the tree deeper and brought the soil profile up the tree, they were getting better success. And I tried that, and it works quite well, as long as obviously it's not soaking and sitting in water. And you can see here, there is the graft, right? And down here, so I've come up about a foot and just compost and mulch and manures and different things like that, and just created this mound. Now the mound is like a rounded sort of thing, you know, so the water falls away, the oxygen falls away to the sides, and it comes out to the drip line of the tree. So the drip line is where the roots will come out as that far, and this oxygen is getting all into this root system here. The water is draining away and storing in the profile around the outside of the drip line. And as you can see here, the water is falling away and heading off over that way. And so we're creating a water storage bank for the roots to move out, because as the tree grows up taller, it's growing wider as well, a fruit tree, so the drip line is getting wider. And so they're the major tips that I do to really get it going. And obviously we need to fertilize a lot more than other trees because they're really hungry, right? So around about 3 times a year I put down compost and mulch and a bit of chicken manure and things like that. Whatever I've got lying around that I'm using to make my compost with, I use. And the chicken manure's got a lot of potash in it, so it helps with the flowering, and that's generally in the compost that we make. So yeah, great stuff. Now the connection. So we've got here a chicken run, right, going down the side. Now they're always in there just scratching, fertilising, turning around. They come out and walk around outside and go under the trees and scratch under the trees sometimes. But this tree now is actually sending roots underneath the chicken coop. And so that's going to be getting just consistently fed from that. And same with this one here, this mandarin here. It's nearly, the drip line's nearly to the tree, but we'd be getting some leaching coming through from the other side, and also worms and microbes and fungi and things like that, carrying that nutrient to that tree from the edges of the chicken coop. And also we've got other garden beds close-ish by, so the nutrients would be dropping down from that, and they would have been established and create their own sort of like fungal dominated areas, and the fungus moves through the ground. Now, fungal environments have been found to travel for kilometers in forests, and they know that because they can get the DNA or something like that and check it, and then do some research on it and find out, yeah, it's exactly the same family or species, whatever it works, kilometers down the line. So it's interconnected, and the fungal dominants will share the sugars with the plants once it sort of creates symbiosis. Let's just say a simple way to do it is friendship. It's created a friendship, and they're sharing sugars and food, and so the plant, when it's photosynthesizing, is sending energy down to the ground, which helps all this microbial system and the soil web grow. And it just expands out like a big sponge. Just imagine like a big sponge just growing out and out and out. So when we start a garden, we start and we connect everything up. So slowly over time, we don't have to always be feeding. We've got to remember that nature does a lot of the work as well. And so this bale garden here, which is absolutely just pumping. We've got chocos, basil underneath, which is getting shaded now, so we need to replant under that. And we've got a fruit tree right next to it. So this is our dwarf lemon. So it doesn't grow too big, it's near the house, so there's a reason for that. But look at the hands on it. And how green and lush they are. And that's sitting right next to this bale garden. When this bale garden's finished, one day when I'm deciding I don't have the time or the energy to put into this garden anymore, I will plant another nut tree or another fruit tree or something like a long-term perennial. We'll go here, and then this is already set up. It's already dominated with the web, so not the web, but soil life, so to speak. So yeah, that's the secrets really of getting a really good orchard together, is understanding your root system and understanding the soil. And once you understand that you connect it all together and you allow the root system to get really big and really dominant, then I'll keep going this way, and then you can understand how it happens. You've really got to just get out there and do it. It's something that's very hard to show in a video because it's years and years of steps. But when you get a nice big root system first and really compost well and get that soil right and let that plant just take a little bit of time to establish itself, you get superior growth in the second or third year. So it's a bit like, how do you say? So a 3-year-old tree will look like a 5-year-old tree. And you saw that lime tree out there, right? And the others. I've been in this place for 2.5 years now, and I didn't put them in the first year. So it was about 8 months in that I put them in. So they've only been in the ground just under 2 years. Pretty amazing, right? And I learnt this from biodynamic farmers, organic farmers, and also tree specialists that plant trees throughout Australia from the forestries, and just put it together, mixing it with really good practices, organic gardening, regenerative practices, and boom, man, you've got an edible garden that you hardly even had to take care of, really. You don't have a lot of work taking care of those fruit trees like that. You can do it with nut trees, and I said moringa and all different types of stuff, and have a lot of food, save money, and enjoy the process of fresh food at home. I've been picking those limes and getting snake beans, and doing this mash sort of thing with a bit of fish sauce, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of chilies, some cherry tomatoes from the garden, and making my own bean salad. It's just absolutely brilliant. You've got to love that. Anyway, if you've got anything else you'd like to share about fruit trees down below, or something similar to what we've been talking about, get into the comments down there and share, guys, because there is a wealth of knowledge in this community, and I love you all, and I always read all the comments. Have a great day. Happy gardening. We'll see you in the next video real soon. Shh, don't forget to share this one. But for now,